on resource deadlock resolution. In this deadlock resolution, so what we are trying to do is, so this is the image what we have shown, deadlock resolution. The first part is deadlock. How we are encountering the deadlock, how we are understanding that we got deadlock. This first diagram, yeah. So this was a deadlock. How we got a deadlock? Let us say the process P1 is requesting for a resource R3. Okay. Further, this resource R3 is allocated to process P2. This resource R3 is allocated for a process P2. And this process P2 is requesting the resource from resource R1. It's like a chain loop, it's going on, right? But this resource R1 is allocated to the process P3. Until unless P3 is completed, the resource cannot be released. Okay. And this P3 is requesting for a resource R2. Further, this resource R2 is given for the process P4. And this process P4 is requesting resource R3. So which means we started at this point, and from here we went to this point, at this point. Okay, we went all these points like a round robin fashion, like we went and came back to this location again. Okay, so because of this, what happened here? So we started with where we started with resource R3, we went around the clock and we came back to this, which means where we have started, we are ending up there itself. Okay, that becomes like a deadlock, which means you cannot move further from there anywhere. Okay, so how to resolve this deadlock problem? So this deadlock has to be resolved, right? How to resolve this? So we need to make sure that resource allocation state after deadlock. So what we are trying to do to resolve this, what we are trying to do, you check this one. So this space, what we have here, okay, we are trying to completely eliminate this corresponding part. So this corresponding portion, what we have here, okay, we are trying to eliminate that. So by this way, we have resolved the issue. So here at this place, there is no chain link now. So the deadlock can be resolved. Okay, this is what we have discussed in the earlier classes. All right, any doubts in this? And further, we have discussed on deadlock prevention, how to prevent the deadlock. So what approach we are trying to follow to prevent. So to prevent this deadlock, anyone have any questions on it? Okay, let us see the 5 different approaches or the 4 different approaches what we are trying to follow for preventing this deadlock. Okay, first one A, next is B, C, and D. All these 4 we are trying to see one by one, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this manner. The first one, we are trying to make resources shareable. We are trying to make this resources shareable, which means, let us say we have a resource here. Let us say you have a resource here. Let us say R1 resource was available. Now, before this resource was given only to the process P1, it cannot be shared. Now, what we are trying to do along with this process P1, we are trying to give it for a process P2 also, so that the resource R1 is now shared between P1 and P2. Okay, so because of this process, the resource getting shared here, the resource is getting shared to the process P1 as well as P2, we can able to prevent the deadlock. So before you see the process P1, okay, is requesting for resource, but that corresponding resource of R1 is given to process PI, okay, where both of them will not get the access. So both of them will cannot able to proceed further. So that leads to a deadlock, correct? So this approach, if you follow, if you share them, then we can able to prevent the deadlock. Then we can able to prevent the deadlock. So prevention we are trying to do by using this sharing technique. Okay. Advantage of this is what? No need to wait. So before we have to wait, this PJ, okay, this PI has to wait until unless this PJ is going to complete the resource or completely use the resource. Okay. So the no waiting here because of this process. And further, the process PI does not get blocked on resource RI. So if you see this one here, the resource RI is required for process PI. So we don't get any kind of blocking here. So So this process will help us in not making to wait for any longer. All right. So that's the first technique. Look at the second one, make resources preemptible. So if we make the resources preemptible, what is happening? We are not getting any circular paths. If we make them preemptible, there are no circular paths provided here, so that it will be the process will be easy for us. Okay. Is there any doubts on that so far? Anyone? Any questions on it? All right. So look at this. Sorry. So look at this one. Make resources preemptible. How to make the resource preemptible? Okay, if you avoid the circular paths, if you avoid the circular paths, we can able to make the resources preemptible. Okay. So we have the resources Ri. See the resource Ri here. Let us say R1 or Ri, whatever. Okay. Ri. So we are trying to preempt it. And so preempt it means what? Like we are not taking the resource, we are not taking the request from this process PI. Or the other way here, the resource Ri is preempted and allocated to PR. Okay. So this Ri here we have see that you can see this one here. So this part we are trying to block. If you understand carefully here, just look at this one. So this part. Let us say here what is happening here. What was happening here? So let us assume like we have some process PR. Okay. This resource Ri is given to this. As it is given to this, so this will not able to get the request. So we are trying to avoid this. So this one we are trying to avoid. Okay. So this portion we are trying to avoid. So that's the process. So see here, there is nothing. It's been avoided completely. Nothing was there here. Correct? So how we are able to do that? How we are able to do that? We are preempted this. We are preempted this, which means we have prevented that not to give to this portion. Just look at this. I'll erase it off. We can look at this. So this portion what we have here, we have eliminated this. Okay. So because of that problem, because of that we got here, because of that we got this kind of thing. All right. Is that clear to you? Okay. Now check it this one. So we are trying to, third method we are trying to do is we are trying to prevent and hold. What we are trying to prevent and what we are trying to hold. Let us see. There are two conditions here. The first condition, you check what we are trying to hold and what we are trying to wait. And also second condition, you check it out. Okay, this is the problem what we have. This was same as the previous one, right? This was same as the previous one. Okay, same way. This, if you observe this one, this and this question is same. The problem is same. We are having two different solutions. Either follow this technique or follow this technique. Okay, we have two options here. Option 1 and option 2. So there are two different options we have here. Let us see what all those options. So prevent, hold and wait. What is the advantage of this one is no paths in RREG. No paths in RREG. Okay, so RRAG. Okay, with one process. See this one here. So either you make sure that you avoid this one or avoid this one. Either you avoid this one, you avoid this connection or avoid this connection. Let us say this is the first approach. No, second approach this one is, it is first approach. You see this one here, we have allowed this one and we have discontinued this. Whereas in this case, we have discontinued this and permitted this. So what was happening here is we have one resource. What is that resource name? RK. And we have a second resource. That resource name is R, let us say L or RI, whatever. Okay. Now this resource is requesting for a process PI. Okay, and this PI is requesting RI. So there is a conflict here. So this is becoming a deadlock condition. Okay, this is becoming a problem. So either you avoid this or avoid this. Any one you should do it. In first case, what we did, we allowed this one and we have blocked this. So that's what you check it. This one, you check it. This we have allowed this resource RK to request for process PI. So what will happen? Sometime this process will now allow the resource RK. So these two are be paid, and the corresponding process PI will be allocated to resource correspondingly RK. Okay, so this is solved because of holding and waiting. As we are holding and waiting here, you see this one. As we are holding and waiting, so this problem is being solved. Or other way to do it is what? Don't allow the resource RK to request to PI. Allow the process PI to request for RL. That's what in second condition you check here. Process PI is either in one not permitted to block on resource. As first condition, this one is first condition. This is what we told. Okay. And look at the second condition. Are not allowed to hold while requesting RI. So this second condition. This is your second condition. Either you do this or you do this. So this way we can able to make sure that we can able to prevent the process by holding and waiting. We can able to do it. Okay, this way also we can able to prevent the deadlock. And fourth approach, prevent the circular waits. So we see this one here, resource RK is requesting process PJ. PJ is requesting resource RL. RL is requesting process PI. Again PI requesting RK. It became like a circular fashion. Correct? So this lead to some circular fashion. It's like round robin circular fashion it has lead to. Because of this problem what we had, we are trying to eliminate this. We are trying to eliminate this. How to eliminate this one? Either you cut down here, or you cut down here, or you cut down here, or here. Anywhere you cut down one of the chain link. Let us say you have a complete circle. Okay, you can cut down anywhere. You can cut down here, or you can cut down here, or anywhere here. So any one of them, if you eliminate, let us say this portion, if we are trying to eliminate, then the chain link will not be there, and it will solve the problem. Is the idea. Okay, let us see that. So prevent circular waits. The process PJ, where is PJ here? See this one, the process PJ is not preempted to request resource RL. So it's not preempted. See, sorry, PJ, right? Sorry, my mistake. Let's check here. It's PJ. We are not allowing this part. So this part we are cutting down. So what is happening here? If you cut down this, what will happen? So this connection is not been there. You can see this has been cut down. So we are able to prevent the circular waves. So we can able to prevent the deadlock condition. Is it clear? Any doubts in this? Any one of you, any questions on it? Any questions on this? All right. So now next, let us continue this one. So all resources together. All resources together. What is this all resources together? What does this mean, all resources together? So how to use all these resources together is what we are trying to see. Let us see what is there in this. Okay. So this is your simplest. Okay, this is your simplest of all deadlock prevention policies. If you have all the resources together, if you use this kind of method, this will be very simple to use. And the next thing is what? Process must ask all resources it needs in a single request. So what is happening here? If you look at this example, let us say we have a resource. Let us say 2 resources are available, and we have 3 processes. Let us say R1, R2. This is P1, P2, and P3. Now in the single iteration, what we are trying to do, Now, which request is requesting which one? Resource R1 requesting for R2 and P2, or what is this? How it is happening? Which all are requesting which one? We are trying to collect it in a single shot. Okay. Which one is asking for which request? Let us say the process must ask for all resources it needs in a single request. In a single request, what all the process we are having, we are trying to collect the resources in a single shot. What will happen if you collect in this way? So that we will try to avoid overlapping and we will try to avoid the deadlocks. So who is going to handle that? The kernel is going to handle that. So this kernel is going to allocate all of them together. All of them means what? All the process or all the resources, whatever we have, all of them is going to allocate together. Let us say, if suppose we have a blocked process in this manner, we got one process got blocked. Let us say we have a process here. This process is, let us say, P1. So this has got blocked. This has got blocked. If this is got blocked, it does not hold any resource, because as it is blocked here, it does not have any resources. No resources are available for that. Okay. So as there are no resources for it, now this kind of hold and wait condition will not work for that. Hold and wait, when it will work? When you have the resources, it will work. As there is no hold and wait resources here, there are no resources at all. Let us say this process P1 is blocked, this is blocked, and there are no resources, here. This corresponding hold and wait will never function or will not be satisfied here. This method will not help. So what to do now? We need to have an attractive policy for the small operating systems. Right, we do something for smaller things. So for smaller operating systems, we need to have some kind of policy to make sure that the deadlocks are prevented. Okay, and it should work practically. Whatever we talk, that should work practically. Is it clear? And it should be effective while allocating the resources. So this is what the approach we are trying to follow for all the resources. So one of those, what can we do is resource rank we can give, which means whichever resource you want to, we'll give the ranking for the resources, and based on those resource ranking, okay, we can able to allocate the resources for the corresponding process. Let us look at this resource rank. This corresponding resource rank is being associated with each resource. Each of the resource will be given with the rank with each resource. Each of the resource, let us say we have a resource here, we have a resource here, and we have a resource here. Like this, we have a resource 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll give the ranking for this. Let us say this is first rank, this second rank, and this is third rank. Let us say. Okay, sorry. So okay, so this way we can able to give the resources. Resource R1, R2, and R3. We'll try to give, this is say first rank, this is second rank, and this is third rank. Let us assume that this way we are given the ranks. What we are going to do with the ranks, let us see. Upon resource request, this kernel is going to apply a validity constraint. So the kernel is going to check the validity. Okay, why we are going to check the validity? To decide which one has to be taken. Okay, so once the resource, let us say this is the resource. This resource, let us say it's R1. So this R1 is requesting for the process P1. We got a request. Similarly, we have one more request here. This is from resource R2. We are given the resource for process P1. Now both of them are requesting, you see. Okay. Now this process P1 should give it back to resource R1 or R2. Which one it should give? It should be decided based on the ranking. So this step will happen when this condition will arise. Okay, let us check this condition. Upon the resource request, who is going to do this? The kernel will apply a validity constraint. Whether it's valid or not, it will check. Which one? The kernel will check. Why it has to check? To decide whether we should consider this or not. Okay, it will first, whatever things comes to you, right? you will check for validation. Let us say you got some news on the newspaper. Okay, you will check validation of that, whether is that really happened. For 1 second you just think, right? So which means you will evaluate that whether it's correct or it's wrong. How is that? You're going to check it. Similarly, the kernel is going to validate that whether we are going to consider this or not consider this. Correct? That's why when you look at your newspaper will have the headlines. Let us say headlines. So this headline you are interested, you go inside that and read. This headline you don't like, you don't read the article. So that's why they are going to give you headlines. Okay. Whether you are going to consider this or not considering it, it's up to you. Similarly, in this manner, the kernel is going to validate this, and whether it can able to consider or not consider, it will decide. Okay. Now in this process, the rank of the request resource must be larger than the rank of highest ranked resource. Okay, now this condition let us check now here. Okay, so this is your request made by the resource R1. This was the resource request made by resource R2. Now let us say this rank is 2 and this rank is 3. Okay, now initially R2 requested for the process P4. Okay, and now after some time this resource R1 also requested process P4. Now initially this request is granted. Now this one is requesting, which one? R1 is requesting for P4. Now in this case, which one's rank is better? This rank is better. So resource R1 should be allocated to the process P4 instead of resource R2. Okay. So now what is the condition here? What is the condition here for that? The requested resource must be larger than the rank of highest ranked resource. So based on this correspondingly, if it have the better rank, then we can able to allocate this resource. If this is having, let us say 4, then this will not be allocated. Okay. So in this way, if you try to do, we are trying to make sure that the circular wait we are trying to avoid. If we are trying to do in this manner, what we are able to achieve, we are able to achieve the prevention of circular waits. So we will not get. Okay. So this is the thing what we, and one more thing we can do is worst case scenario also we can consider. In worst case scenario, this corresponding policy may degenerate into all resource together policy of resource allocation. Let us say if we have worst case, we are not able to justify because of this ranking, then what it will do, all resources we are trying to allocate together, all of them will have equal priority, and based on that also we can able to do it. So this is one approach to do it. If this approach is going to fail here, then we are going to use all resource together policy to overcome that problem. Correct? Because we are creating a rule to resolve the problem. If that rule itself is going to create a problem, then that rule has to be overtaken by the other rule. That's what we are trying to do it by using this process. Hope it's clear for you all. So let us take some questions now. Any questions you have, or let us discuss, and we'll continue with deadlock avoidance. Any questions here so far? Any one of you? Is it fine? Okay. So let us look at this next one, deadlock avoidance. So deadlock avoidance. So we have seen before prevention, just glance at once. So deadlock detection we have made. See this one, deadlock we have detected. Okay. And deadlock detection algorithm we have seen, and deadlock resolution we have seen. Okay, and deadlock prevention we have seen. What all things we have seen? Detection. So let us say D for detection, R for resolution, and P for prevention, and we are trying to P for avoidance. Detection. So we have seen deadlock detection and deadlock resolution and deadlock prevention and deadlock avoidance. So this many we have seen: detection, resolution, prevention, and avoidance. Okay. So this what is your deadlock avoidance we are trying to see. All right. So let us see this deadlock avoidance. Let us look at this deadlock avoidance. So one of the algorithm we have here is your banker's algorithm. See this name, the name itself is saying bank, correct? And who is going to do the banking is called as a banker. So that's why the name banker's algorithm. What is this banker's algorithm? You know, it's very simple. Let us take any bank. So let us take, this is your bank, right? This is your bank. So this bank will have n number of customers, or let us say n number of accounts. Okay, and it will have, let us say, some here, this much amount of money. Okay, amount of money it has. Now this n number of people will request for loan, correct? Let us say each one may request on their priority. This n number of people are there, from 1 to up to n number of people are there. One may require 1 lakh, two may require 5 lakhs, and three may require 10 lakhs, and four again require what to say, 2 lakhs. Like this, they have different requirements here. N number of people may not need it. But out of this, we don't know when which person is going to request for a loan. True. And this sum of the money, let us say, which bank is having some 10 crore. 10 crore fund it is having. So this 10 crore, it can able to give the loan for them. Okay. And this one person who is going to request for a loan, he may request for 3-month loan, and 5 lakh he request for 5 years. This is 3 months. This is 5 years loan he has taken. 10 lakh he requests for 2 years, and 2 lakh loan he requests for 1 year. So like this, there are different timelines. Now, if somebody is requesting for a loan and all the fund is allocated, now what banker should do? You wait for 3 months, we'll get a repayment of 1 lakh, then you can take it, they will tell. Or each of them will pay every month one installment, right? How much they are going to collect each month, that amount what they are going to collect, they are going to give it for other people. Okay. In this way, the bank is going to function by smoothly collecting the fund from the people and giving it to someone else. It's like they have some principal amount. What they're going to do, they're going to do the rotation of the principal amount. How they're going to do, they'll give for 10 people, let us say, for example, this 10 people after 1 month, they also will keep paying it, right? Each one they have given 10 lakhs, 10 lakhs into 10 people, it becomes 1 crore, and they have 1 lakh installment, let us say, per month, you think. So they'll get 10 lakhs per month installment. So this 10 lakhs can be given to somebody else, right? So like that, they're going to collect every month the corresponding EMI, and they're going to balance their banking. So that's the technique here also in allocating the resources. The same technique is what they are proposed here. So that way we can able to, how the bank is smoothly functioning by managing their funds. Similarly, the process also, the operating system also can able to manage their process. Process is like accounts, resources is like money. Okay, in that way we can do it. So that's the idea. So are you able to understand this simple banker's algorithm? That's the idea. You understood the complete idea what we have here. Okay. So let us check that what is happening here. So in this banker's algorithm, let us see what was happening. The analogy here is what? Bankers will admit loans that collectively exceed the bank's fund. So they'll give the loan, sure, but that should not exceed the bank's fund. Okay. And then they will release each borrower's loan in installments. So what they're going to do, they're going to give that, release that in terms of installments. So this is what is the analogy what we have. Okay. So uses notion for safe allocation state. So let us try to see what is happening here in this corresponding banker's algorithm in the operating system. Whenever we have a system in which, okay, we used to allocate the process, or we used to allocate the resource, okay, where in which all the resource can complete their operation within possibility of a deadlock. Before the deadlock occurs, the resources can able to complete the process. Let us say unless the bank is asking you every month you keep paying, there is no problem, right? Similarly, when the resource was getting when the process is getting the resources, In that case, there is no problem for the process. Until unless the process will get the resources, it keeps functioning. It will not have any problem. It will not have any deadlock. Okay, so that way it will continue its process. And once one process is completed, the other process may take over, right? So in this way, the deadlock avoidance can be managed by using this Banker's algorithm. And this deadlock avoidance can be implemented by taking system from one safe allocation state to other safe allocation state, which means, so for us task is now to complete process P1. So let us complete this process first. The priority of now is only P1. After this, we'll take over this for the process P2. So step by step, we are going to do it. So this way, we are going to avoid the deadlock. So deadlock is avoided for process P1. Yes. Next, further, make sure that deadlock is avoided for process P2 also. Okay. Now, what all things we have used in this notation of the Banker's algorithm? Let us see here notations used. Just go through these notations. And any one of you can tell one by one what all those notations. So go through them one by one. What is the first notation? Can someone explain me? Any one of you? Go through this all notations. So what is the first notation? Requested resource. So where I'll show you the context where we are going to use it so that you'll understand that. You see this one here. So in this case, we have the algorithm, right? So in this algorithm, if you see these names, okay, we use this allocated resources, okay, request resources, like this we use the notations, right? So these notations have been given here. Let's go through them quickly. What all those notations? Let us say talk on first one. Let us go through this first one. Requested resources. Please go through this. Requested resources. So what is the meaning of this? Number of units of resource class RK currently requested by process PJ. Number of units of a resource class. So resource class is what? Resource class is RK. This is resource class currently requested by process PJ. That gives you the requested resources. Okay, let us take any resource. For example, K means what? It cannot be only one. K can be 1, K can be 2, 3, like that. Okay, let us assume K is one of the resource. Okay, and J is one of the process. So, okay, so number of units of the resource class RK currently requested by the process PJ. Okay, out of this many, how many this process PJ is requesting? So that is given by requested resources. All right. So further, next you go through it. Maximum need. One is what we are trying to say. Requested. I can request 10, 20. But what is the maximum need? So you just try to understand these notations like a banking process. You have requested for a loan of 1 crore. Okay. The banker will ask, is that 1 crore really required for you? How much is your need? This year I need 50 lakhs and next year I need 50 lakhs. So like that you're going to tell. Okay. And now based on these two inputs, now what is allocated to you? Okay. You may tell, okay, immediately how much you may need. You may need how much? You may need 20 lakhs. Okay, please take 20 lakhs now. You take your need. After 3 months, again I'll give you remaining amount. Okay. So this way. So next is total allocation. Allocated resources 20. Total how many they are given. So like this 20, 20 every month they are going to give. Total how much they are going to give. That is total allocation. And total resources. Total how much they can give. Total how much they are given. So that way you think it out in a prospect of a bank so that you'll understand easily and we can relate this to the corresponding operating system and process. Look at this, each one of them. Each one of this technique, try to go through it quickly. For 2 minutes, please go through this. Okay, to go through this complete notations, and let us look at the algorithm. The next session, Banker's algorithm. That will be the end of your module 5. Okay. So any doubts in that so far, you can discuss. If not, that's it for today, and we'll continue this Banker's algorithm in the next session. Okay. This Banker's algorithm part. So we'll just go through that bank deadlock avoidance. So we'll go through this algorithm in the next session. Is that clear? So we'll resume from the deadlock avoidance part, and we'll do with the Banker's algorithm. So that's the objective. Next class we'll try to see what is this Banker's algorithm and how it will be helpful for us in avoiding the deadlock. Is that clear? That's it for this session, and let us look at that more clearly in the next class. All right. Thank you all. You can leave the meeting. If you don't have any doubts, if you have any doubts, you can please ask me. And